Hello, hello. We're here for our weekly anchor message where we are getting our spiritual lessons and assignments for the week. I'm all stopped up, so sorry it's going to be a little bit of a struggle to bus, but we're going to get through it. So, from the wild unknown, first of all, tonight is our full moon in Virgo. It's a lunar eclipse, it's a blood moon, and this is during a Mercury retrograde. So, a lot of clarity and things that have been hidden are going to be revealed, things coming out that have been lurking in the shadows. So, yes, very intense energy. The reason I'm stopped up is because I've been crying. There were just like events that unfolded in my family today that were not wonderful, and but definitely very eclipse oriented for sure. Darkness being revealed, things coming to conclusions and in difficult ways. But yeah, just some stuff going on between my parents, and it just affects the whole family. But a lot of us are just feeling a lot of things culminating right now for a lot of us. A lot of things, cords being cut, contracts being concluded, truth comes out kind of stuff. And it's not always, it doesn't always come without pain, but it leads us to a new chapter, and it frees us from toxic influences from the past. Sometimes the most devastating, heartbreaking thing is finding out that a person wasn't who you thought they were and who they made themselves out to be. And I think that's going to be a very prevalent theme coming out of this eclipse season, coming through this portal. So big hugs to everyone. And I think that we're being acknowledged too by the cards today. So I'm going to get into the reading. Tomorrow, I'm going to film our lunation workshop with the big spread before work, hopefully. And I'll hopefully have that up before work or sometime early in the afternoon. But if not, that will be what I will film tomorrow or tomorrow evening. So my goal is to do it before work and have that up for you guys. But on to today's reading. So the anchor message is our spiritual lessons for the week, how the week is unfolding. It's the seed level of the energy. So this eclipse is, and this full moon is really touching the whole theme of the week. So the call, the hero's call, the invitation has been sounded once more, and we have the forest, an invitation into the shadows, into the unknown, into the unseen, the thicket. It's a journey. Sometimes the path isn't clear, and it can be scary when you're not familiar with a forest to just walk in. You don't know what lies ahead. You don't know what's lurking behind the corner or what's down the path a little way. There could be predators. There could be animal predators. There could be people predators. There could be wicked, scheming tricksters. There could be wonderful adventures and beautiful, charming animals and beautiful mushrooms and flora and fauna, right? But we don't know. And it's probably got a mixture of both. And I think we know that. And I think that's what makes it such an adventure. Because we know we're going to have to face off our adversary. We know we're going to have to draw from our depths and reach new levels of courage and strength. We're going to be stretched. But we're also going to gain a lot of treasures on the way and have a lot of exciting moments and moments of highs and joy too. So the looming invitation, the call of the hero, the forest is here. The shadow, what we're going to be up against in the forest, what the part of us that we're going to be facing, right? The part of us that's going to be, we're going to be meeting that part of us along the path, but also the forest is sort of bringing out our shadow nature. It's the threat of the forest. It's the difficulty of the path. It's the uncertainty. It triggers and stirs and baits the shadow to come out so we can see it. You know, and also the shadow aspect of ourselves is not only the rejected parts because they are maybe the rough edges or the unevolved parts of the self, but they could also be wonderful, unique parts of ourself that are truly treasures that make us who we are. But society didn't appreciate those things about us. They didn't conveniently fit in with the plan, with the agenda, with the schedule, with the model, with the ideologies, right? So we were maybe shamed for a lot of those aspects of ourselves, or we saw that other people were. And in order to survive, we had, or in order, you know, in our perception, maybe validly or invalidly, maybe it was imagined or maybe it was real, but in order to survive, in order not to be ostracized, rejected, left behind, we had to hide those parts of ourselves. And to different degrees, maybe some of us suppressed them so deep that we've forgotten they were there. You know, maybe they're just down far enough to where we can always hear the little cry coming from so far away, wanting to be reintegrated, wanting to be let out, wanting to be included. And so I think that is the part, that's what's calling us into the forest. Please come back for me. Please, the fears that are haunting me like monsters in the shadows, will you please come face them and shine light on them? And then we have the river. The river is bringing a force of cleansing and purging. And the river carries us, and the river cleanses, and it directs, and it's got currents, you know. The river smooths out the rocks over time through perpetual consistency. The river is like the water force of Pisces moving us through this eclipse portal. It's like, it's not like a fire eclipse. It's like water. We've been dumped in a deluge, right? So, but this, look at the horse, right? we've just entered the year of the fire horse. We are closing out last year's elemental year in the final sign of Pisces, where we reflect, where we have all of the wisdom of all the zodiacs, the process that we went through, the maturity of Pisces to reflect, to understand deeper. I know things were coming up for me today that I maybe have never realized on the level that I realized them today. Like, I can't remember what triggered me to start thinking on this train of thought, but I was thinking about it in terms of, I don't know, some story I was thinking about, or I can't remember who it was pertaining to, but there were things that I had in common with this that I was like noticing. That's how I saw the pattern. It wasn't necessarily mine. I saw it in some other scenario, and then I was like able to relate it. But it was about someone who had been surrounded by like narcissistic people their entire life. Because I was having a revelation about how patterns like are so sneaky. Oh, I was thinking about an ex and how that ex used to love bomb me, and then when I would call him out on it, then he would turn around and gaslight me about it. And I didn't even know what love bombing was, or a narcissist or anything. I was just describing what he was doing and calling it out for what it was without the language to be able to say you're love bombing me. And everybody knows what that is now. But like, I didn't know anything about that. So I was like, describing how he would like lay on the affection and all that really thick, like right after he would do something terrible, or like almost like before he knew he was going to do something terrible, to like butter me up. And I started noticing that pattern. I called him out. He was like, no, you're great. It started gaslighting me, making it seem like I was crazy for thinking that. No, how could you think that? Oh, knowing that he was like that, but he was in total denial, or he didn't want to be perceived that way. So instead of owning it and being like, oh gosh, I realized now, yeah, I was doing that, I'm sorry, instead of owning it, he just deflected, right? And I was thinking how I have been surrounded by narcissistic types for my whole life, and I had to learn, not knowing what a narcissist was, but just these types, I had to learn their patterns and their methods, and I had to learn how to navigate them and manage them and survive them. And so I realized today, sometimes if you're dealing with a narcissist, you almost have to use their tactics, like psychological kung fu, and just use what they're doing, use the weight of what they're doing against them without taking any additional action, but I was realizing, I was like, it could be so easy to adopt that method of dealing with someone like that in those situations, and that become an ingrained pattern, especially if you've had to do it from such an early age, that you just go through life navigating everyone with the same defense mechanisms, the subconscious defense mechanisms that you might have had to use in extreme situations to survive certain personalities that you had no choice but to be with. You know what I'm saying? So then we carry those subconscious, like unconscious defense mechanisms as behavioral patterns. And until we witness ourselves doing it in situations and realizing like, oh, that is not an appropriate response in a normal situation, right? Like, for instance, say someone was trying to use like a gaslighting method, like denial, kind of like, oh no, that wasn't it, to survive a narcissist, right? But then, because that's like, it feels like a life or death situation, or it might mean the place you have in a household or a family, right? You might have to behave that way to survive those moments. But then you have to realize, when you're leaving those intense situations and you're out in the world, it's safe to own your mistake. It's not like the stakes are not as high as they were maybe in that psychologically narcissistic, predatory or abusive situation, right? So we have to train ourselves to understand, to even perceive that it is safe to own a mistake, to let someone tell you where you've been wrong and give you feedback and communication. And then, or even like confront you about something or ask you about something, and then feel like it's safe to tell the truth and to own your side of it and confess, and then it would be okay, and everything would be fine, right? And it wouldn't be life or death, right? That would be a novel concept to someone who's had to survive those kinds of intense relationship dynamics their entire life, right? So it's that level of things coming up right now where you're just like sitting around, maybe like doing your things to-do list, going through some bills, and like you go into a trance and something triggers a memory, and then something like that comes to your awareness. Like that's the depth and power of this Pisces eclipse portal. It's like bringing things like this up in a surprise way, but in such like a way of clarity and like sharp vision. You see it all so clearly. It's so obvious now, and there's not the emotional entanglement of what could be many things, but at the very least, there's not this feeling of emotional threat to protect yourself from this realization. Like it's like you can face it, you can cope, you're resourced to deal with it. So the fire horse, the year of the fire horse, is going to bring so much fire and heat and momentum and impulsivity. And so we need that water to come in and cool that heat, that ferociousness, that passion, that anger, that sting. We need that cooling, soothing water. We also are going to have a lot of fire in our engine, right? Burning that coal, having that engine of desire and motivation to go after what we want. But we also need the quenching, nourishment of water. We need to find the flow of water so we don't burn out, right? And use all of our energy and burn out our energy stores. So finding ways to get into flow and letting water do some of the work, letting water carry us. And I do think that there's also a protective influence, like the Shekhinah, the Holy Spirit, the mother side aspect of God coming in with that ambionic fluid to help carry us, right? The water can hold us and help us suspend us, take the pressure off, or make us feel surrounded or protected, right? So there's something protective and nurturing also about the water. But this water, it's like the current, the portal that I'm seeing, it's just like a flush, like it's just washing through in a very powerful force, like a flash flood, or like a purging, like a cleansing one. And so underneath the forest, I think that I'm just going to keep talking, and then at the end, I'm going to let you guys listen to the audio that came from the blog today, and you can see all the cards together. You can hear the coherent message that came out in a not choppy fashion. So underneath forest, we have strength. And I think that there is a sense of wariness and a feeling of feeling daunted by this looming shadow, uncertainty. I think we're feeling fragile a little bit, vulnerable, tired, scared, intimidated. But we're stronger than we know. And we have depths of strength that we haven't even touched yet. Storehouses within ourselves. And we also have a deep and strong and personal connection with the creator of the universe, with God himself itself. So we are backed by angels, by saints, by our loved ones that have passed over and are with us, by our ancestors. There's so much spiritual support and encouragement. We have the strength to go forward into the unknown. The next chapter is going to hold a lot of wondrous things. But these are the initiations and the trials and tribulations that we're traversing to arrive at that. And the strength card never exerts their strength by force or by aggression, but it's a gentle strength. A strength that influences through love and through respect and through dignity and integrity. No coercion in that. Underneath shadow, we have the Seven of Wands reversed. And I want to read this card to you guys. So I'm going to read the general meaning of how they wrote out the Seven of Wands. But then I'm going to finish with specifically the feelings of the reverse aspect of Seven of Wands. On this card, we see a strong man behind iron bars. He is in front of a red curtain that symbolizes his strong emotions and moral convictions. The man is defending his position by bending the bars with his bare hands. The 7 bars stand for all the challenges he has faced in his life. His many tattoos tell the stories that emerge from those conflicts. They result out of his experiences with aggression, defiance, and the need to protect. He has always stood up for and defended what he believes in. But the reverse meaning is giving up without a fight. It's being unprepared, exhaustion, giving up, or overwhelmed. So I think that being faced with these feelings on such a low tank of feeling like on the verge of giving up, on the verge of losing hope. Or some of the other ways they said it. Feeling unprepared, feeling overwhelmed, feeling the exhaustion. This is how we get to see that shadow aspect. The shadow aspect is going to be the part that's reactive and is triggered. But it's also going to tell us why we've come to this point of feeling so exhausted. Why we're so burnt out, why we're so heartbroken. What part of us did we abandon that has created this separation, this like disconnection from the alignment with our heart, mind, soul, and strength, right? This shadow aspect that needs to be reintegrated is some part of ourselves or many parts of ourselves that we abandoned and repressed and left starving. And that's why we feel the way we do. That's why we're at our wit's end with whatever this is. But there's also an aspect that feels almost defeated. And this is like in Rocky, any one of them. When he's in one of the later rounds of the end of the movie of the big match, and he's beat down to all fuck. He looks like pulp, blood, swollen. You can't make out his face. And he's on the mat, and they're counting down, and he's about to lose, and he's about to give up because he can't keep fighting. He's so exhausted. He's taken such a beating. But what makes Rocky so great and what makes him such a hero is that he always gets up before it's too late, right? I think maybe in one of the Rockies he loses to that one dude, Dolph Lundgren. But we're not going to lose this one. We're getting up. And like Mickey was in the corner banging on the mat. You gotta get up. You gotta do it. Because Mickey loves you. He's this trainer. Because he's invested in him. Because he's been there by his side and he believes in him. And that's like what our angels are like right now. And our spirit guides and our ancestors and our loved ones. They know that we can do this and they don't want us to give up. Because we're on the verge of the breakthrough. It's just that this is that test of perseverance, and in that culmination, the big finale kind of like plot point moment, it's where we face our adversary, and it's the hardest part. So the way we're going to get through this and navigate this with grace and with endurance is to meet it with a sense of adventure and curiosity, willing to look and examine and spend time facing these truths, these revelations, so that we can finally embody them and be free of the past sense of self, the past strings that kept you tied to pain and heavy contracts that no longer serve your highest good, that are no longer in your good or the good of anyone else or in your integrity to stay attached to any longer. We are washing those away. And on the other side of this portal, as we are beginning Aries season, this is that we are reborn and we are beginning our new story. But not without one last rinse, not without one last snipping away and pruning what doesn't belong. All right, you all, I'm going to let you all listen to the audio. I'm going to sign off here. Sorry, I was not peppy or very funny or very bright today. No, I just couldn't hold it together. I had to keep it together through the whole shift, and it was very hard because at the beginning of the shift, the ABBA song, "The Winner Takes It All," but it's really a song sang by the point of view of the loser, and it's a song about feeling defeated and humiliated when they gave everything. And I had to run out of the building because it was too on the nose for what my mom's facing right now. And tomorrow will be better, but I just couldn't put on a mask, but I needed to bring y'all this message, so forgive me. But thanks for letting me be real and show up however I have to show up to get here, right? All right, you all, much love. Thank you. Peace. Pisces season and our upcoming Virgo eclipse during Mercury retrograde is an invitation through a gateway portal into our next level. This portal is a bit like a rinse cycle. After having been thoroughly agitated, the deeply embedded stains of toxic patterns and programming have been lifted. We can name each stain, identify what it is exactly, and how it got there in the first place. We are now rinsing the residue of what was and going through our final stage of cleansing before we begin our next cycle of experience, growth, and expansion. We are invited into the tangled brush of the forest. A return to the unknown. Journeying into the shadows to discover with new understanding and awareness what has yet to be seen and still remains festering in the unconscious. The river is moving water. It cleanses, carries, propels, and maneuvers with its current. The end of this eclipse season reminds me of a waterslide. A dark, wet, fast, and twisting ride that spits us out into the glaring light of day. It's easy to feel overwhelmed right now, but we have hidden stores of strength and a conscious relationship with the creator of the universe. Don't give up without a fight. We are strong. We are brave. We are courageous. We are adventurous. We are curious. We are interested. There is still fun to be had. The sun will return.